It's saved. But whenever I tell you to restart it, make sure it's always camera to the left, because I sent it to YouTube and it doesn't know the flippies. It'll be upside down. So.
Oh, yeah.
Mine just said fire.
Oh, nice.
Fire.
What do you think happened to the mansion?
Burned down?
It did burn.
Just said fire?
That is a common term here.
Just said
Yeah.
fight?
So that's good. You're hearing stuff out of it. We just used that for the first time the other night. We didn't get much out of it because I didn't have like the settings all in the right space. But again, it's an experiment to make sure we're getting the settings right. But you're hearing things already. All right. I want to also point out, right, try to keep that green one on. Watch the dog. Try to tip it in. Maybe drop this pop around and that gives us more opportunities to We'll spin it.
It came through real clear.
Wait, mine just said fire.
And mine said fire breathing dragon.
He said the house burned.
Oh, they're not. No, wait, really?
He said this.
Oh my god. Okay, seriously. That's.
And I heard fire.
So have you been stopping it?
And
restarting
Liza,
it?
tell us more.
I want you to stop it. So after every couple of minutes, I want you to stop it, because if you don't and it freezes up, you lose all that footage you just took.
Oh, okay.
So we wait for it for a second while it's still solid, and then we restart.
It has like this little field around its antenna. It's like really small, but if anything gets into it, then the light will like go up and it'll beep. So like if anything's near me, this thing will go up and that thing.
Yeah, let me know and I'll point the camera at
There's
you.
6 right now. Dad, there's 6. It's gone.
Like when we asked how she died, I got fire breathing dragon.
I still don't think like the AM is sweeping right now. Like the one light is flashing and the other one's not. Again, I'm still learning this device. Yeah, the red one's flashing, which means that should be FM, but I don't think the AM's going along with it. They're basically intertwining, so that way it'll give us more words and terms to pick from. Tap your reset button. Remember, it's the bottom one.
Eliza, how do you feel right now?
I love how you guys are all huddled together. Like this
I'm
doesn't
trying
happen.
to be
Like,
glad.
everybody usually like spreads out.
Yes! What'd you say? I'm trying to be glad. It was just pieced together from like some radio station.
As far as like you've heard a lot of phrases, so I want to point something out to all the spirit boxes. Over there, I asked the question, what color is the big red barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. I don't need Rudolph the nosed reindeer. I just need red. So sometimes you're going to pick up words before and after because the spirit boxes are set to be slow, except for Owen's. His is just literally giving us 1 to 2 words at a time, if you can hear anything at all out of it. So again, fire-breathing dragon, I just need fire.
Oh, and Mo, you just need glad. I'm trying to be glad. Why would she be glad right now? Scared. She
That's
was
a direct
scared.
answer. But you also heard glad, though.
Yeah.
So
I
again,
heard
which
glad. You heard scared.
Some activity.
Well, 100. What do we
Playing
have?
Video?
Uh-oh.
Playing?
It just went up to 188.
That is the highest I've ever seen.
It's freaky.
So just again,
Concern.
just for point of reference, so everybody knows what these EMF readings mean. Behind your television with that particular meter, it's probably going to spike out, but this one would read about 40 to 60 milligauss depending on how many electronics you have. Your microwave on high is going to read 140 to 170. She just had a 188. Like that is astronomically high, like almost to the point of dangerous. You feel okay?
Yeah, I feel fine.
Okay, just like relax. You had glad, and then what was the other one you just heard? Concern?
Concern.
Eliza, we need something a little bit more specific. Can you tell us what year you died in, please? Obviously, everybody should be listening for numbers at this point. Eliza, what year did you die? You know, she just set a new record for me with that. I've only seen 148 in there, and that was one time, like almost a year ago.
You'll die too.
We know we're all gonna die, Eliza. We even want to know what year you died.
So,
Scary.
Pete's looking things up over there. No, I'm kidding. I've had people do that.
Eliza? Yeah, I'm looking up Eliza. What's her name?
I've had people do it and then go around and tell everybody the answers to the questions I gave. I'm like, hey, jerk, you need to stop.
We know the answer. We're just seeing things.
Shirley, what do you got going on there? Pretty weird. Anything out of you, Nora? You haven't said a peep yet.
I haven't heard anything.
Are you getting the gist of how to listen to it?
Yeah, like I hear blurbs of like a radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But I
even
haven't heard
song lyrics. Again, somebody could be singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Okay.
And that red is what we needed out of it. So again, that's what you're listening for. No matter how silly it sounds. So even if it, obviously you guys now know that the mansion caught fire. If you heard drop it like it's hot, obviously the word hot is what we're looking for.
Okay.
What happened to the mansion? Drop it like it's hot. That makes sense. So again, it just confirms the fact that they heard fire-breathing dragon and drop it like it's hot. This is a hell of a story, guys. I don't know what you guys are piecing together, but I'm glad I'm writing it down. So we're back in medieval times here, right? Eliza, can you tell us what year you died, please? Notice I'm asking the same question over and over.
Wait, it's picking up like a cold spot over there. Should I go scan there?
sometimes it's just like a piece of metal, like the dumpster. I mean, it's always...
Once it goes off, I don't need any other readings, and it goes like max, like, yep, we got something. Looks like you might need to stop. Have you stopped in a few minutes?
Wait, does it show my breath?
Yep. All right, are you guys all ready for some answers? Oh, are you hearing anything else?
I'm hearing like little pieces, but I can't like make words.
Can't make them out. All right, let's go ahead and mute it on your end. Go ahead and stop your video feed. You might as well just stop yours too.
Hear anything?
Owen, anything out of you? Nora?
I was trying to mute mine now.
We want to keep it down here. This is a quiet area. I was hoping you were listening along the way. Like on the way here.
Oh, you should have had it on. Did you have it muted?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you didn't hear anything? All right. So this space, when we crossed that last crosswalk coming over, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So you are standing on one of the first streets we ever had. The reason I ask you for names is because I have the full list of residents of everybody that's ever lived here. So the names I normally get will be Benjamin and John. The weird thing about that is I usually get it about every 6 to 7 weeks. It's like a loop that's playing over and over again. But what's so significant about Benjamin and John, they both lived here in 1801. When I say people lived on this street, it wasn't many at a time. I'm not talking like 20, 40, 50 people. I'm talking like 5. If the names Benjamin and John will show up together every 6 to 7 weeks on a loop. Here's why I think that's happening. The bricks you're standing on are called Belgian blocks. Belgian blocks are made straight from granite. Now, you guys watch any kind of paranormal show, you've heard the term limestone before. Limestone is said to kind of stir things up a little bit because it's made straight from the earth. Now, granite is also made straight from the earth, and these bricks were laid in 1735, almost 300 years ago. It's also said that anything that's been straight from the earth and has been in the same place can hang on to the consciousness of memories. So what kind of memories are actually being caught here if I'm getting the same names every 6 to 7 weeks? Was I expecting Benjamin and John tonight? No, we're on like week 3 to 4 of that 6 to 7 week thing. So I was kind of hoping our full moon would have an effect on that tonight, but I'm going to be focused on these recordings in this particular space. The other weird thing about this is that the Freemasons also had a Masonic lodge here, which is why it's called Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, which would be obviously Freemason, Mason, Brick. I've even had the term Illuminati here several times last year, so you have to check that. So we're standing on somebody's stoop right now.
Really?
Somebody's what?
like their like their front steps. When I say people lived here, little tiny shotgun houses. These were obviously not the rich people of Charleston, which also makes sense because across the street over there is where the other side of the wall was. Those buildings weren't there. The smell of low tide would be coming through here all the time. So, did you guys notice that if you guys been down to the Battery where the houses are skinny in the front and they go long back? There's a reason for that. First off, with that, we want to watch that red lasers creeping underneath that door. I don't know if they have any kind of security. I normally don't say we could get lasers in here just because people are eating dinner. But those houses, they're basically taxed based on how much street side they took. So that's why they're skinny in the front. Skinny in the front, less taxes. But that makes them have a piazza. That's a front porch with a door that you have to enter. It's kind of part of the house. That's to help keep the smell of low tide from coming into the home. They would open up a second-story window, allowing the cool air breeze coming in over the water to air condition the house because cold air drops, heat rises. That would help keep everything flowing through their home. We just left the Pinckney Mansion site where I showed you a picture of the house that was broad against the street. They were politicians outside the city walls. They have money. They don't care about the taxes. They're going to pay them. Their house that way was bragging rights. So even though they would be getting the smell of low tide from the water, they didn't care. It was all about bragging rights for them because of their beautiful home. They did find some of their like tools and clothing and that kind of thing underneath here, so it makes for a very interesting read when you find that archaeological dig. But again, if I catch any names, you'll obviously have the link to look at that list of names and see what year the Masonic Lodge was here. As we go through the rest of this alley, we're going to continue filming. I will tell you that we're going to go to another alley, but I can't take you through it. I've been booted out. We're still going to tell the story outside of the alley, and it's not fair to you guys to try to investigate in an alley that is very busy with other tours when we're only 9 people, and they're probably going to be 20 plus. Not to mention, it is residential at the end. So again, we're not allowed to go all the way through anyway. One night I got caught, and we'll talk about that later. I'm that guy. Yeah, I got out. So we're still going to go and discuss that alley. Then we'll talk about like whatever you guys are hearing on your spirit boxes to see if I could tie it to one of the many stories on that street corner that we're going to go to after that. Then we're going to deep dive into a female pirate, and you're going to fully investigate the Powder magazine like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion. The female pirate story, if you're into pirates, this is a crazy story. So again, it is nuts on how much I've had to learn about pirates over the past year since I got kicked out of Philadelphia Alley. So as we walk through here, video cameras, you will stop the minute we hit the street at the end. So we're going to be walking through residential. It's definitely a no laser zone, Mario, so you're out of the game for a little bit. Let me know if any EMF spikes up over here, the two of you. So we don't normally get anything. It's normally coming from the building. But we actually had some weird spikes show up last week I was kind of curious about. So I want to see if the numbers match up. If they match up, it's normally something from the building. If they don't match up, I'll have to go back and see like what's actually going on. Questions, comments, concerns about cobblestones and bricks?
Should I unmute mine?
You can unmute it as we're walking through, but yours being open air, once we reach the exit, go ahead and mute it again.
Okay.
Just because we don't want to disturb neighbors. We're going to be cutting through a neighborhood. All right, let's do this.
Should I turn on this thing?
I would not, just because it can be distracting. Because you're going to get a lot of money. Your camera likes to capture works in there. So, yeah, so I get a lot of things. I have to like play that into it, get that to the bar, it's ignore, so I have to investigate a lot of those kind of things. So that's why I say those things as well. Oh, and did you hit the button? No. Is anything flashing?
The channel 2 button.
Okay. Well, you got something flashing. Philadelphia alley. Camera that person was using, if I'm not mistaken, looked like an SLS camera. I tried to get one of those attached to my bag, but you've seen how giant it was. So basically what that camera does is it creates a stick figure of people that aren't there, that we can't see. So if you watch your TV shows, it's usually the stick man dancing around and there's nobody standing next to you. I do have one getting made. I'm waiting on parts because it's coming from the UK. It's very compact and much easier to carry than this big giant thing that he had. My wife tried to get me one for Christmas, but I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. Can't fit in the small bag that I have to carry. So I have one being made and it's only gonna be about this big. So it'll be really cool. But yeah, ticket prices will go up. So you guys are in on the good stuff right now. Because that's a $1,000 camera. Anyway, let's get into why we're here. So Philadelphia Alley behind me used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. Fiona, you've been a great sport tonight. Let me know if any weird spikes happen right where you're standing. You're actually in the perfect spot. Last week I had a young lady claim that there was a 93 milligauss reading right here, and I've never seen that even on this corner. And she was pretty close to the building, so I just want to test it. So anyway, Duelers Alley. We all tell the story of one duel because we can actually prove it. It's a pretty big deal. You're going to hear a lot of key words for your spirit boxes. I'm going to slow down on those key words for you. So there's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney that's helping her out with all of this money. The attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's cash, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So he moves to Charleston to prove that he's not just after her money. The coachman that set him up, YouTuber, the coachman that brought him set up in a town. Sorry, bad dad. And I have kids too. They know, like, keep it discreet. But anyway, the coachman that brought the doctor into town set him up to be robbed and killed. So it wasn't a very good start to his stay here in Charleston. Somebody walking by, seeing what's going on, by the name of Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second because y'all are ghost hunting listening to a bunch of spirit boxes. Ralph's initials are the same as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. R.I. will show up here quite often. I just need the secondary clue so I know who it belongs to. So anyway, Ralph says, hey man, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to kill you and take all your money. So he's like, I got some friends at 59 Church Street that you can rent a room from, and all will be well. So it's exactly what it does. 59 will show up here from time to time. It's just a family walking around. So anyway, the doctor rents the room, the two become friends. The doctor's practice starts to take off. He's making his own money. He becomes known as the whistling doctor because Amanda's moving down soon. Yes, it's the late 1700s where people whistle because they're happy. It was a weird thing, weird times. So every haunted city you guys, by the way, will ever go to has a whistler. Ours just happens to be a doctor. So here's what goes on from here. Okay, don't know where he came from. We got a few of them that run around here. He's a new one. Ralph and the doctor go see plays together, but because the doctor makes so much more money, the doctor gets better seats. It's kind of like going to the movies. You can't sit next to your friends. They talk about the plays on the way home. One night, they actually go see William III from Shakespeare, and they start arguing over the new actress that was in town. The doctor thought she was great. Ralph, not so much. Gets into a heated argument as soon as Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée Amanda back home. So they go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper, and tells the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. It's not a very cool thing to do to his friend. But the doctor sees the ad and he rebuttals with, let's go to Duelers Alley, we're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 20 paces, they turn, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot his one shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up for the fight and willing to forgive his friend. Ralph, however, still has his one shot. Sorry, Pete. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. And the doctor didn't die either, but he did fall to the ground, and Ralph made his point. The doctor's friends pick him up and they carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. Remember, he's a doctor. He probably tried to heal himself from bleeding it out. They say as you walk through this gorgeous alley that you can hear the whistles from the doctor. Now remember, I used to take tours down there. I would take them all the way through, all the way down to the residential side. I do have a few whistles that I can not debunk. However, all the locals know the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side, all throw a whistle down the alley, including me. I do it every single night on my way back to my garage, because we end up there, my garage is right there. So again, when you're walking down there, turn on your voice recorders, listen to it later, see if you actually hear any whistles. They also say you can hear gunshots, but I don't have any proof of that. It is a very interesting space, and if you love picture taking, you can see the lighting down there is perfect. I don't know why that tour is so far down. They're not allowed to be down that far, but I don't work for them, right? I own my own company. I already got booted out once. I'm not taking that risk. Here's why I got booted out. Let's get into that. This alley didn't always come all the way through. The bricks on the other side are older than the bricks on this side. The bricks on the other side by Queen Street were sun-dried bricks from slave children. We have one full handprint and fingerprint swipes in those bricks. Everybody wants to put an EMF meter near it or a spirit box. I treat that brick the same way I would treat a grave. That kid does not want to be staring at that brick in the afterlife. It is something neat to see because it shows how far we've come in our society. However, it is outside a gentleman's dining room window. And he came out screaming one night, November 26, 2020. Why do I remember that date, Pete? Because the next day was Thanksgiving. I did not tour, but I got a phone call on the 28th that said I had to reroute my tour or not go all the way through like every other tour. So I decided I'm going to reroute. So November 28th comes around, and I tell my team, we're going to wing it. I don't know much about pirates, but we're going to go see what we can capture. Let's do this. I take them up there. Somebody hears the number 300 on their spirit box. I have no idea what it means because I haven't done all the research yet. Somebody also hears the name Anne. I know that Anne Bonny is said to haunt the Powder magazine, so I'm like, okay, let me see what number 300 means. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th, 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial. You can take that for what it's worth, but again, it's one of those uncanny instances that said karma told me I need to stop doing this and go up there, because I used to have a whole other route after we were done in Philadelphia. Now we're on the new route, but I still tell the story because it's obviously relevant to what I do for a living. Have we heard anything? I heard some giggling going on between the two of you. What's going on? Have we got words? We're making up stories? All of it? Let me take a peek real quick. Just to see
No, it was just as you were saying, like, this is all true, and then that popped up.
all of it. Yeah, I got nothing. Yeah, your word list is pretty light, and it's only at 38 terms. Spirit boxes, have you been listening? Have you heard anything?
I heard the word continually. I don't know if that means anything.
Pretty vague.
Yeah.
And yours was obviously off. Have you heard anything out of yours? Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cut those cameras. You guys gave me plenty of footage, and I tried to stay. So that's good. Just keep it running. If you hear anything, we hear something. Shirley, you got anything going on that list?
Executive.
No. I don't like it. Next. So, all right, so we're going to be really diving into pirates, but we need to know a little bit of background first. We're going to be talking about the Powder magazine. So that building over there with the crosses on it, those are not crosses, those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts are basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, which we haven't, you can turn those turnbuckles little by little and it'll straighten the building back up. That's the purpose of them, but it doesn't work, just so you guys know. I bring this up because those earthquake bolts were the first set of earthquake bolts that we put in Charleston, because it's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because the ghost of Anne Bonny is from the same time period. This is kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. It's what I call a familiar. You keep breaking my stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so again, that's part of the reason why we're here. But let's talk a little bit about the original Charlestown walls that I mentioned earlier. The street behind you, where that parking garage is, that's where the walls stood. Not firing back up again. There we go. It actually went up past the Powder magazine just about half a block and started going south behind me towards the battery, so it's locked into the corners. If it gets attacked from a Revolutionary warship or a pirate ship from 3 blocks away, that cannonball's going to have a hard time going through the 32-inch thick walls. That's how thick they are. But we're going to pretend that that cannonball goes all the way through and it explodes the gunpowder. There's sand in the roof underneath those red shingles that's supposed to go up with the explosion and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's another great idea that doesn't work. So, the sand is still there from 1710 to 1712 because sand does not disintegrate. It is a museum now, so if you're into artillery and old wars, this building did serve in 7 different wars. So it'll show you all the artillery that was used throughout them. It's a pretty cool building. But again, we're here because it's a familiar. Right in the middle of this building's construction, which took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? 10 years, small building? No, not at all. So right in the middle of it. So let's get started. 1708. A young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She moves here from Ireland. You guys gotta follow me, there's a lot of twists. She's with her dad and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Are you guys with me so far? Yeah? Okay, cool. So they're running away from his wife. If I don't slow that part down, everybody asks me to repeat it. So how mad was that woman that they left Ireland to come here in 1708? Just saying. Anyway, they land in Georgetown. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That's the mistress. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to sell anything from the plantation and keep things going. The building is familiar. So, Anne back home in Ireland, they say she was kind of a badass. They say she killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly. Sorry, it's always the person to my right. And I shot you earlier, too. Damn, I'm trying to kill Pete. Anyway, this was when she was like 7 or 9 years old. She killed a servant. So just kind of keep that mentality in the back of your head as we go through this story. We're going to fast forward. 1713, this is done. 1715, the pirates are coming through town, and Anne is stoked. She falls in love pretty quickly. This guy's name is James Bonny. Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. I'm sure your parents can understand that. They run away to Jamaica, they get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, the name I mentioned earlier. She's the most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Now, when she gets down there, what was that?
I don't know.
That was
I couldn't
cool.
really hear it said.
Well, you got audio too on your recorder, so hopefully we caught that, whatever that was. Like, that was pretty clear. I was over talking it, but anyway. When she gets down there, James is not the guy she wanted. This is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow kind of guy she wanted. He's a privateer. He's a spy for the British. In her eyes, he's a coward. So this is not the guy. A few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. They call him Calico Jack because he wears the jackets of the men he kills. So he's a young, filthy pirate.
Oh, gross.
But he's pretty dapper, and Anne falls in love again. We're on guy number 2. I'll keep track. Jack has his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it, but girls curse pirate ships. You can't have a girl on the crew. He makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and be part of the crew, you could be a female in my quarters. Of course, he's the captain. So she's okay with this because Dad back home in Ireland used to cross-dress her as a boy to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, but adults, let's put 2 and 2 together. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew, right? Somebody's going to figure it out. He drops her off in Cuba, go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She has the baby, but returns with no baby. There's your first mystery. You have no idea what happened to the child. She's also dressed like a female, which your lasers are a little high for cars. So she gets there, she's dressed like a female. Jack's pretty mad. Jack also just captured another pirate crew, and they're down below.
You said trap.
They were down below deck, and Anne's gonna go flirting. He heard the word trapped. That's craziness. I gotta write that down. But anyway, she's gonna go flirting with this pirate crew that was just captured by Jack, because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, just like a guy, to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females, dressed like men, on the same ship. This young lady's name was Mary Reed. Now Mary, the 2 of them become friends, possibly lovers. I know, long story. I see the deep breath. Where's the ending? So, it's a long one. Anyway, so the British find out where they are, and they send their entire fleet to come and take down the ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet muskets. So, as they're up there fighting, they're obviously going to get captured. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at Jack. She says, you should have fought like a man instead of going down like a dog. The word dog shows up here quite often. The judge, Nicholas Laws, not Nicholas Trott that we talked about earlier, he wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back by themselves. The rest of the crew is already dead and gone. So, the 2 ladies go in front, they reveal their gender. He does not care that they're female. He's still going to hang them. They're still pirates. We plead our bellies, was the last thing they said, claiming to be pregnant. You can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720, which, by the way, this is the November 28th trial that I told you all about earlier. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging till after the pregnancy. Dad's still here in Charleston. He actually bails her out, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, guy number 4, because yes, we're going to count Mary Reed, and dies at the age of 84. That's what we know. As far as Mary Reed goes, she died a year later in 1721 from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. I'm sure it was scurvous and bumpy and gross and whatever else you want to come up with. So, 2 things I left out here for spirit boxes. You guys all know what you're doing by now, so we're going to explore this space. But the 2 questions, you can ask what Calico Jack's ship name was, and the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That would be the father and the mistress. So if you guys can come up with those, that would be fantastic. Everything else is fair game. You want to ask questions? Ask questions. I don't care what you ask. Cameras and lasers. If you want to go to the front of the powder magazine, like if you would exit the lot and make a left, you'll see the wrought iron gates. You can take some footage of the front line. The only thing I ask is you do not interrupt other tours. Lasers, Mario, if you keep them on the ground, you're safe, but if you start to go up, you're going to be in somebody's living room. Those are our apartments above the powder magazine, so we don't want to go too high with the lasers. But this is definitely a high spirit box type activity. As far as the EMF goes, I do want your REM pod on, so that's the white button in the back and the antenna first. Antenna first.
Sorry.
You're good. There you go. Because otherwise you'll just make it go off. So we don't get a whole lot of EMF here, so if you guys do find little spikes, obviously let me know what you see, because this is not the Pinckney Mansion site. This base is a hit or miss type location. And Bonnie, we're taking a chance that she's here at the exact same time we are, because she is said to be seen all over town. I told you guys that people have passed out on my tour. Do you guys want to know a little tie into this story of when somebody passed out?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, back in September, bring my crew back here, just like you guys were standing here, and the young man next to me goes white as a ghost, and I pick him up by his armpit, like, because he's about to pass out, like he's going to the ground. I take him over to that wall over there, which is where we're going to end, and I send his boyfriend over to the vending machines to get him a bottle of water. It was September, so it felt like this, so he's not too hot. Sit him down, he's feeling better, I tell the story. I send everybody out to go have fun with the toys, and they pull me aside. Nick, we have to tell you something. I'm like, what's going on? We are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Ann and Mary on my tour. It made sense why one of them, when they came in here, felt a little weak and about passed out right in front of our very eyes. It was one of the craziest things I think I may have ever seen. They were feeling better. I didn't have to call the paramedics that night, which was fantastic. That is the craziest thing you got going on over there.
I don't know what happened. One of the lights like turned off. I didn't press anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna work with yours, but that's usually the heated warning of why I give that to you at the beginning, because I don't know what's going to happen. Everybody seemed to be fine though. I was actually worried about Fiona with those high spikes over at Pinckney Mansion site, but we're all good. All right, guys, let's have some fun. Let's spread out, and let's stay out of the way of the other tours. But yeah, you stay back here with me. Let me see what we can get this setting on there, because you have.
I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that building.
I'll stay back over here if you want to go there.
I'll leave here. You guys want to go over there? I'll go in a little bit.
Well, you got that thing. Mine's not picking up anything.
What happened to your
Okay.
I'll wait for him.
Okay. You guys want to go look at the building?
She's dead. You said hit or miss.
Let's walk around. I'm just going to go look at it.
But maybe she will.
It's a cool old building.
Oh, okay. What is a magazine? Ooh, fun.
Show yourself.
We need the spirit boxes. They're not like guinea pig. Spirit boxes. Seeing any apparitions?
No.
Darn.
No, it's just pointing at the cold metal fence. Oh.
From who? Anne Rice. She wrote a book called The Witching Hour.
Chill's over there.
Chills. You can give yourself chills. I give myself chills right now. What the heck?
Fiona, I need your device over here.
I was laughing at my husband, and then it happened to me. Like we were covered with chills, and then my thing started playing crazy piano music. Like da da da
Do we
da.
know if there's any
I can give
weird
myself
temperatures
chills.
going on over here?
I know you can,
What's
but
been the
I
average that
won't.
you've seen on the bottom number? It's been about 66 to 67, right?
I've only, yeah, it's only been like 65.
There's an angel here. I haven't heard anything in a while. Angels are good. Recipients. We're the recipients of something.
I'm not seeing any temperature drops at all. Like it's been 65.3 to 0.5. Hey, you were actually aimed this way when you guys were over there, weren't you?
Yeah.
So if there was any kind of cold
Yeah, I was.
anything coming through, we'll be able to see it. Now it's gone up to 65.8. So it's starting to go up. Any words coming out of yours? Your camera likes to act up in here.
Well, that blue dot's jumping all around, and it's looking basically like this.
Okay.
67, whatever. I was pointed over here when he said he had the feeling.
Okay. I mean, I'll be looking for like 20 to 25 degree drops when I'm, scanning through it. Because if I see something like bound super small, like that's when I like focus in frame by frame it to see where it's actually coming from.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, it does feel like there's a little bit of a breeze over here.
No,
I mean,
it wasn't like a temperature code, like inside of me, like my ear.
Kara, did you hear anything? Did you hear anything?
I got the chills just like he did. I thought he was full of crap. And then something about angels on that. But that was it. I thought we were going to get something good. Oh. Like I cranked it up thinking this is it.
I gotta learn more. I think, honestly, the battery is probably again, and that's gonna be the case. This is only hour 4 that I use this. And so, I have rechargeables, but they gave me like energizers. I'm like, oh, this will last me for at least a week or so. Like you filming the entire time too?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, if anything, like, a lot of times when they have a show, it's like, there's some nights where I only have like 5 minutes of footage. Some people will give me too much footage. Like I was walking, he was walking, he was investigating. So, and that's why there's always starts and stops even in the thermal. The thermal image, however, I like to get more from it. It's really cool to see how cars going by. You can see all the different temperatures where you guys are doing more about it.
Yeah, he's over there praying. So something happened there.
It's our last hurrah. Let me know.
Catholic,
I'm really surprised. I'll be honest, the word list has been kind of weak for me over the past couple of days. Like, I don't know what's going on with it. So most nights, like, that's my go-to device. I love that. And it'll normally give me like 5 to 15 terms, and I'm like, oh my god, super solid. And especially when I can put it together with what you guys have heard on the recordings and things like that. But that list tonight is super weak. But yeah, but again, with a fresh set of eyes in the morning, sometimes I'll catch little things out of it. I don't see anything super like startling at this point. I am excited that 2 people heard the word fire at Picnic. It's probably our biggest thing of the night that we caught in real time. So And again, I'm hoping that part of your video, Pete, caught whatever that said while I was telling the Anne Bonny story.
Right.
Because that was clear. Like,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
it was, like, it was a
Yeah.
voice. I know it was probably radio.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Yeah, it said
honestly,
something.
Do you have any idea what it said? Because I think it said James, but
I couldn't even guess, but it was clear enough this had to have heard it.
okay. I'm good with that. And again, my speculation is I was talking about James at the time, and I heard James come out of it. See where the subliminal messaging comes in? I even do it to myself. That's why I
Yeah.
like to know the stories before I do an investigation, on my own. So I like to be a little bit more closed-minded when I walk in. Did anybody, because I was working with that spirit box, did any of the cameras go up front and capture footage there? Did you guys want to go check that out?
Up front? Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's like the cannons.
Oh yeah, I walked around. I didn't
Okay.
see anything unusual.
All right. Well, I say we get this party wrapped up since I got to figure that guy out. I guess I know what I'm doing tomorrow. So I tutor English during the daytime, so those kids are just going to have to wait. I got to figure out my ghost hunting here.
Let's go over to the wall so we can. Alright, so I'd just like to show you guys what Anne looked like so I can give you the answers and I can remember. If I don't do this, I forget to give you the right answers. So Anne, this is one of the few pictures I could find of her with a shirt on. Anne liked to show a breast to the men she killed to show that they were just killed by a woman. Welcome to Women's History Month. Right? Girl power, right? I do get teenage boys on the tour. I don't need angry moms. So again, that's basically, the MO of Anne Bonny. Listen to the cheesy clapping. Did I say that out loud? I did, didn't I? Damn it, I gotta stop thinking that way.
I got it recorded.
This is Calico Jack. I told you about his jackets, right? So that's the reason why I like to show off this picture. The name of his ship was called the Kingston. Do I expect Kingston to come through a spirit box? I don't, but I do expect the word king, which is what we've captured in the past. The name of Anne Bonny's parents, William Cormack and Mary Brennan. So there's your second Mary. Again, secondary clues are always needed unless you ask a direct question. Anne, what was your mother's name? And if you hear Mary, then obviously we have answers. But again, you said you heard the term angels. I'll be writing that down. Any significant EMF spikes that I need to know about as the two of you? Nothing?
Wow.
Turn it upside down. It says Mom.
Mom. Yay, Mom.
So as I collect these devices, you guys can ask me a million questions. I'm going to stop the